All right. Well, good evening, good day. How you doing? How's everyone out there? It's your boy AJ with the Baseline Bums podcast today, and I'm joined by Austin, aka Roundball Renaissance. Austin, how you doing?
Good, man. Appreciate you guys having me back on. This is quite the honor being a recurring guest on this podcast.
Oh, absolutely. We wouldn't have asked anyone else because today we are going to talk about WrestleMania 41. And we are going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the fun, the what's going to happen next. We are so stoked. We're going to bustle down the card. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, it's still on Peacock. It's going to be there forever now. But it was a lot of fun. I'm sure you've seen some highlights too. No spoilers, but it was fun. Vegas seemed like they had a really good time. The pops were insane pops. If you love watching someone come out and getting a huge ovation, that was a thing. From top to bottom, I thought it was a good pay-per-view. What do you think, Austin?
Yeah, I think it was pretty solid. I've seen the discourse online a little bit. It seems like they were pretty negative about night one, but I thought overall, with the exception of the ending, we'll get to that, it was pretty solid.
Yeah, I think it was great. I think it was one of those, you take it for what it is, what I found interesting, and I want to know your thoughts on this, because I'm sure you're like me and watched about 25 hours of wrestling over the past 2 or 3 days. And I've seen a lot of people talk about Triple H and how they're going behind the scenes in that Netflix show. So they're kind of really giving you a peek behind the curtain. And we all know that it's choreographed or staged or however you want to say it. Don't say the F word. We're not going to say the F word on this podcast talking about wrestling. We're not going to call it fake. That's the F word. But what we are going to talk about is, are you surprised that they spent the most of the weekend talking about that show, and now we just know what's going on behind the scenes? What do you think about that?
I think if we're looking at this objectively, kayfabe has kind of been dead for at least 20 years. I think the first time that we ever really got behind the curtain was during the steroid trial, where Vince obviously was the big theatrics and he had the neck brace on, and he kind of had to, peel the curtain a little bit, go, hey, we're an entertainment product. We're not a legitimate sporting event. So maybe not the broader masses were in on the act, but now with social media and all the engagements that they get, the worldwide audience that they have, I think it's more important than ever to differentiate the talent versus the characters.
Yeah. And we're going to see kind of like how this all unfolds too, because I think some of the people, kind of our generation, grew up with the best generation of wrestling. So, it was so much fun to tune in every day or every night, and because we didn't know what was going to happen. But now all the spoilers happen. You know who's going to be coming out. You kind of have the idea of what the rhythm is in wrestling now. So I think it's interesting that they're going to give you that peek, but I would love for them to just swerve us all the time, like where nothing comes out true. We don't know who's coming back. We don't know who got signed. I think that would just be insane. Like, just flood the media with nonsense and see what comes through. So that's my 2 cents. But you wanted to get to something that also happened over the weekend. Some pretty big news, and I think it kind of got glossed over. But do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
WWE has acquired Mexican wrestling promotion AAA, which is absolutely huge. The only thing that could have been bigger for them is that they purchased CMLL. The fact that they are tapping into the Lucha Libre roots, where they have so many Hispanic roster members, Stephanie Vaquer, Dragon Lee, Penta, Phoenix, Rey Mysterio, the whole nine, even Andrade, like being
Chad
able to, Chad Gable, being able to acquire someone like that, not just a strategic partnership like they have with TNA, but to actually acquire them for their video rights, for their library, for all of their live events. Like, it is so huge. And I'm super interested to see what's going to happen now. Hunter talked about the Worlds Collide event that's going to happen on the same weekend that Money in the Bank is happening.
Yeah.
And I want to see kind of I guess I want to call it the promotion or relegation between the two. Like, if you're not being used on the main roster or even on NXT, if you could just go to AAA or go to TNA or whatever the case may be, I want to see what those interactions look like.
No, absolutely. And for me, being someone, so whenever I got back into wrestling, I really dove into it. So I was watching all the wrestling stuff you could possibly get your hands on. I was watching CZW matches. I was watching everything from under the sun. Like watching some of these people go from TNA to being in some of the biggest matches on WrestleMania, it's just really cool for me to watch. Like seeing Jordan Grace get her moment now and like being crushing it on NXT. That's been like the biggest thing for me. So like I think for this situation, your fans are going to follow you regardless. And once you get that fan base, especially in wrestling, and you have kind of those people that want to see you succeed and go up and down and how you grow, to have that up and down coming through and maybe having someone pop up, that it just makes the Rumble even more fun now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The anticipation of the Rumble is unmatched. It is one of the top feelings that you could possibly have. Like we were talking about pre-pod, that 2016 Rumble where there was the kind of murmurings that AJ Styles had left New Japan, and this was already after the big exodus of him leaving TNA.
Yeah,
him leaving New Japan, where he was part of the Bullet Club and he was a leader. Like, what's going to happen? What's next? For him to show up at number 3 in that Rumble to literally shock the world is a feeling as a wrestling fan that you're not going to be able to replicate. That's something that's so organic that you can't top again.
Yeah, especially, and now we're talking about WrestleMania. When the Hardy Boys came out, that one time, I forgot which one it was, but it was not too long ago, and the New Day came out, and they're like, we have, a surprise, tag team, and then that music hit, and that pop, and those people, and that the way that I felt when that happened, and then just seeing Kofi Kingston like in the background, and everyone's dancing like Jeff, like that was great. That was so much fun for me, and watching some of the surprises from WrestleMania, that was a lot of fun for me too. My wife only knows it because she has to watch it with me. So when I get excited, she's like, "Oh shit, look at that!" And it's like, I appreciate you trying, and I kind of wanted to also share this too. I watched it. I'm with my in-laws, so the questions and like what I had to explain and some of these matches was highly entertaining for me. And they're asking questions, but I could tell that they were like, "Oh, how are we gonna find this more interesting?" But to their surprise, it was actually pretty fun. It really was. So let's dive right into it. First match of the night. We're talking about the World Heavyweight Championship. We got Jey Uso versus Gunther, and everyone was yeeting everywhere. I mean, that was a real fun entrance. What did you think about that match, though?
I don't have great things to say about the match. I'll tell you that. So I need to preface everything that I'm going to say for this match and the rest of this podcast. I criticize because I care.
Same.
The fact that Jey Uso has had this organic chemistry with the fans, being able to have those hype entrances. He's making fans of the younger kids, my niece included, right? She loves Jey Uso. So I'm never going to be able to take that away from them. I'm going to be appreciative for what Jey does for the crowd like that. This match sucked.
It wasn't great.
We'll get to the contrast for night 2, but I feel like WrestleMania kind of needs that punch in the mouth for the audience to carry the rest of the show. If your opener is flat, the rest of your night's kind of going to be flat too. And, this is what this has been leading up to for Jey. I understand the story. I think that because of the story that they were able to tell, that was the right call that he win the match. But for me, this main event moniker that he has, the believability tour starts now. Because the reason that I had a problem, we talked about this a little last time I was on, the reason I had such an issue with Jey Uso winning the Rumble wasn't his character work, it wasn't his in-ring work or anything like that. It was the story that Hunter told leading up to that. Sure. He was tag team champions, and this is all post Bloodline, his split from the Bloodline. He was tag team champions with Cody Rhodes for 9 days. He was the Intercontinental Champion for, let me check my notes, 27 days, and then was 0-3 versus that same World Heavyweight Champion in Gunther. So I, as an audience member, as a casual, not a casual viewer, but as a viewer, I don't have a reason to believe that Jey Uso can do this until it happens. So now the believability tour starts now. All this main event stuff, you have to be the guy starting now.
I thought it was definitely a lackluster match, and it definitely set the tone for the night. I mean, after that, it was like, oof. Hopefully someone brings it somehow, some way. But at the end of the day, Jey Uso gets the win, and it was cool. Everyone got to yeet. He yeeted with the title. His brother came out and yeeted with him, so that was all fun. It was just, I'm not a huge fan of this Jey Uso push. It would surprise me if he makes it to SummerSlam with the title. But I think this is one that kind of like the the old like Matt Cardona one where he wins the IC title and then the next day he loses it. I
Yeah.
feel it's kind of one of those like you paid it off, great, but where are you going to go with it now? And I just don't know where they can go at this point. I mean, obviously, WrestleMania kind of resets the whole storylines, but you got to understand who's going to go after it now, who's going to be his first opponent, who's going to be his opponent at Backlash. Is it going to be Gunther? Is it going to be someone else? I just hope he does well with it. But I'm the same way. I think if I were to give it a star grade, say like a 2.5.
Yeah, I'm right there. And again, that's not a detriment to either of the talent for what they bring. Gunther is obviously incredible in the ring when he has a dance partner, and Jay is a crowd guy. He's a 5 moves of doom John Cena type of wrestler, and I don't expect him to be Zack Sabre Jr. But to be at WrestleMania, to be in a World Heavyweight Championship match where you're going to win, maybe just pick it up a little bit. Yeah, maybe some dust off some OVW or Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Find something to tap into.
I feel like, especially with WrestleMania, I feel like you have to take those risks. And you saw that on the second night, a lot of those people took those risks because they probably saw night one. And I think that that's definitely what pays off. And you see the talent of these people, and then you're like, Jesus Christ, like I forgot they could do that kind of thing. I think Jay needed to do that. And also by submission too. That was weird. I didn't like a choke. Like, what are we doing here? So
that was certainly a choice that Hunter made.
It was so fast. It was like choke. So that's that. It was kind of just like oh, okay, it's over. I think for the first match you can't do a submission. It has to be a 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and the finish is part of the reason why I said the believability tour starts now, because the only other person to make Gunther tap is Ilya Dragunov, who is a killer in the ring. He is believable. If he wins the World Heavyweight Championship one day, you're not going to get a peep out of me. I believe that. But to be in that kind of company, to make Gunther tap in 2 seconds, it's going to be a tough sell.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But moving on, we're going to be going to a tag team match with the New Day versus the War Raiders. This was a fun match. It is what it is. It was fine. We got the New Day coming out victorious in that. I was kind of expecting Big E to get involved somehow. I was expecting something more to happen, and it just kind of fell flat as well. Like midway through the match, you're just like, all right, here we go. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's go.
The first note that I have on this match is this crowd stinks. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just the way that I was viewing it. Maybe the TV wasn't loud enough, or whatever the case was. I didn't think that this crowd picked up until the Jacob Fatu LA Knight match. This crowd sucked. It made me rethink.
They weren't drunk enough yet.
It made me rethink LA or Las Vegas getting an NBA team. It was that bad. I just couldn't stand it. But as far as the actual match was concerned, I, like you, also considered Big E taking a step in and interfering in some way. But I think probably for the betterment of the fans and for him, it's probably best that he just does what he does now in his backstage role and his commentary role, because neck injuries are scary. And if Big E wasn't the behemoth that he was, he could have very easily died on that bump.
No, that's fair.
To be in good health like he is now, and to have the career that he's already had, I think you just kind of have to hang it up after that for his own safety.
Yeah. And, I've been in the camp of Xavier Woods needs a singles push more than anyone else ever. And why haven't they done that yet? I have no idea. Like, let's hope that they can maybe give him Money in the Bank or give him some kind of match to show how good he is, because he's a fantastic worker. And, this New Day thing's been going on for as long as I've been watching wrestling or back watching wrestling. I'm like, that's been, I think 12 years now or something like that. So we need to pump the brakes on this New Day thing. It was fun for a while it lasted, but some things just need to come to an end. And they've been teasing the turn for a while now. And I would love for them to do that now with the title, and then push one of these guys to become the champion again. But I really think Xavier Woods needs just like a big push. Put him against like Jey Uso or someone, because that would be fun to watch. And, Xavier Woods can go. He just hasn't gotten the chance on a singles run.
Yeah, I think the public perception of him is the guy that plays the trombone more often than not, because he's not like a super competitor. When it was the trio, it was usually Big E and Kofi. So, and Xavier Woods is kind of just out on the outside of the ramp playing the trombone, passing out pancakes or whatever. If you are unfamiliar with Xavier Woods' game, I encourage you to look up Consequences Creed old TNA
Consequence was
tapes.
fantastic.
He could go. He was
Yeah.
in a unbelievable feuds in TNA prior to him coming to NXT. Could not stress how good he is, and I would just love for an opportunity for him to show what he has again.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're tag champs. Cool. We'll see where once again, what's that, 8 tag team champions or something like that? Some
They
crazy
have
number.
the New Day as a unit has 12, 13 if you're counting the NXT championship, and Kofi individually has 15 or 16 depending on how you count the NXT. Just a little trivia for you for those playing along at home.
All
I will
right.
give you an imaginary point if you can name the 3 other tag team members that Kofi has won gold with. They are very random. I don't think that you would be able to pick them out of a lineup, but they are a nice bit of trivia.
Oh, this was the time I wasn't watching.
The first one I have on here, main evented night 1 of WrestleMania.
Oh, was it Jay?
No. Main
No,
evented
wait,
night
what?
1.
Oh, was it him and Punk? Really?
Yep. Yeah. During
Whoa.
his Kill Switch Engage phase, he
Oh,
was tag team champs. And the other 2 here are Blast from the Past, Evan Bourne. Don't know if you remember him.
I
Killer. He
remember.
goes by Matt Sydal now on the Indies, I think.
Yeah. I'm very familiar with him. Didn't he slip
And
in AEW?
yeah. I think he's on the Ring of Honor brand now, but he
Poor guy.
definitely did make his impact over there. And then the other one was R-Truth. So
I was going to
if
think
you're
R-Truth.
if you're ever on Wrestling Jeopardy, I just gave you the $1,000,000 answer.
No, we like ourselves some Kofi and Xavier. Hopefully they just get something good out of this. But next we have Jade Cargill and Naomi. I don't have anything to say about this match other than Jade needs just a lot of work, man, and that's all. That's it. She just needs a lot of work. She's gonna get there. It's just this really slowed down the night. It wasn't great. The ending was fine, but you could tell that the stage might have been too big for them.
Yeah, I don't think the match is going to win any Slammy Awards next year by any stretch of the imagination. But the presentation of Jade is really fun to watch because this like superstar trajectory that she has been on kind of got derailed when she got hurt. And now it
Right.
seems like you're right back on track because I don't want to use a Gen Z term, but her aura is really off the charts. And the fact that she is so strong is already a leg up on a lot of the competition. If she could get in there with with a Daniel Bryan type or say the Motor City Machine Guns, if she can get the work in with technical
Yeah,
wrestlers like that, I
I
think she
agree.
could be a real big problem.
Because if she starts to do things like we were seeing with girls, like just girls that are strong, like a China, when I think about that, like what they could do in the ring, and if she could just get a little faster, a little bit more cleaner, because there was a lot of botches in this one too, and I want her to be great because we all knew how great she was in AEW, and then like she was in WWE, and you're like, oh my god, like this is going to be great, but she still just needs to take that next step, and I hope, similar to Roman Reigns, like he just got better and better and better and better. And I think we can see that with Jade. She's gotten better since AEW, so that's a
Yeah.
plus. But I think she still needs to work on it a little more. But it was fine. It was fine. So just real quick, going back, what would you rate the tag team match, star wise?
3 stars. Not
3?
their best work, not their worst work.
Yeah, I'd say 3. For this one, I would give it like a 1.5.
I think I'll be a little more generous and say a 2, but I mean we're essentially in the same camp there.
Yeah, I'll give you a 2. All right. So now we have now this is when things start to pick up. Maybe someone's buzz started to get a little bit more into it, but Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight, that was a fun match, and I enjoyed it. You saw the athleticism that everyone's been talking about with Fatu. LA Knight is such a good worker in the ring. I absolutely love him as just a wrestler. Eli Drake in TNA, that was fantastic, and you watch him and you're like, this guy can just cut promos, and he's not scared of the microphone, and he can carry stuff. So hopefully this is a drop of the U.S. title to push for bigger and better things for LA Knight. But overall, what'd you think of the match?
If there was ever a superstar making match, Jacob Fatu had it. the believability in the rig, the connection with the crowd, the fact that he is this 300-pound Samoan behemoth and is doing top rope back, like,
Right.
incredible stuff in the ring. I hope that he has the ability from here on out for the rest of this title run and beyond to show a little bit more on the mic than what he has in, say, the last year, where Solo Sikoa has kind of been the mouthpiece for him. But I
Mhm.
think that we're starting to get all of his Infinity Stones lined up, and he's going to be like a mega star one day.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he has all the tools. I didn't understand the mask, and then they said his nickname. What was it? The Simone Werewolf or something like that.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But I mean, just to see the way he moves and the way LA Knight sold the entire night, like they're really good dance partners together. And it was a pleasure to watch. And that's when two things happened for me. That's when it got more interesting during this match. And then also, my in-laws started to ask a little more questions. And so it was really fun the first night to end everything with The Rock's cousin, The Rock's cousin, The Rock's cousin. And so so they got a kick out of that because they knew who The Rock was. But you know, shout out to LA Knight for a great title run. He's only going to go up from here, and I'm so glad that Triple H is running the company right now, because guys like LA Knight, I feel with Vince would have just been buried and you would never hear from him again. And you're like, this guy needs to be in the spotlight in one of the top tier matches every single night, because this guy can go.
Yeah, absolutely. At the point that Vince would have heard that LA Knight is 40, he would have pulled the plug on every piece of creative that he had. I do have one nitpick about that the match. It was when it obviously wasn't just the match; it was throughout the entire weekend. But I really started to notice it during this match. Can capitalism take a break for like just a little bit? I really don't try to be like this purist when it like. I'm also a fan of mixed martial arts, so I understand having advertisements around the octagon or the arena. Like, I get it. I think the center of the match, like the center of the ring, needs to be sacred. I think that needs to be pristine, spotless. I don't need an ad for Fatal Fury or whatever that game is. No disrespect to the game developers or anything like that, but could we not have a center one for WrestleMania at least? Can we pump the brakes on it for 2 days?
It wasn't even. It's not only that on the ring, but it was also in the corners. From each turnbuckle had its own logo, and not only that, every match had a sponsor. I mean, guys, like I read somewhere today on social media, I think it was on Twitter, and there was more downtime than there was actual wrestling, which, you know, I'm not expecting it to be like, you know, 50-50, but good Lord, like we didn't get hardly any, and it was 2 nights. So what does this tell you? Shorten it up. You got to shorten it up. Like the 2 nights is way too much. And that's when things start to get stale. The crowd gets disinterested. I fall asleep. So these things happen, and you just got to understand, like, you know, at some point it's just not worth it.
The 2 nights made sense originally because that was a pandemic precaution to keep the talent away from each other to not contract COVID. That made sense. At the point that we were clean and clear and everyone was vaxxed and ready to go, I think we got to pull the plug. And I think, unfortunately, now, because it has the opportunity to sell more tickets and to sell more ad time, they're just never going to go back. That's what I mean. We're seeing SummerSlam this year. They're moving to 2 nights, and they absolutely don't need to. It's all because of that dollar.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's like the people are there to see the matches. They're not there to see the advertising, and you know, just it really just, come on, man, just get back to the wrestling. But I get it. Also with 2 nights, the way arenas work is that you rent out all the stuff on night 1. And so if everything stays there, you don't have to pay those extra fees. So you make more money, especially in the box office, because then you can also upcharge those tickets, and it's all capitalism at its finest. So I'm glad Hunter is getting paid.
Well, he has to. He just bought AAA. He's bleeding somewhere. He had to make up for it.
But next we have a lucha match, and it's El Grande Americano versus Rey Fenix, which I thought it was a great match, to be honest with you. And I'm sorry, real quick, Fatu, LA Knight, what do you give it?
That's a 4. That's a very easy 4 for me, especially.
I agree.
We'll recap at the end. We did predictions on it's meet a bunch of my friends in the Omega Discord. Shout out to you guys. We did predictions for both nights of WrestleMania, and I went 13 for 14 on the matches. So I was able to really clean house there. But for Jacob Fatu to come out on top, someone I like, and that I picked him to win, it's an easy 4 for me.
Nice. I like it. I would give it a 4 too. I was thinking like 3-5, but 4 works for me. El Grande Americano versus Ray Phoenix. I thought this was a fun match. Honestly, I really did. I think, sorry, El Grande Americano can go really well. I think he's just one of those wrestlers that can wrestle any kind of style, any kind of match, anything you throw at him, he can do. He can keep up, and it just made things a lot more fun. And the way he won too, just I love this metal gimmick that he has going on right now, where he puts a metal into his mask and does a flying headbutt. I think that's just a really interesting way, a new perspective that I don't know if I've ever seen before. And shout out to him. He beat Ray Phoenix because he cheated, so should be a fun little feud now here moving forward.
Now, there are some rumors online. I don't know how deep you are on the interwebs, but there are some chatterings online that El Grande Americano is actually Chad Gable under a mask. And
No.
if that's true, if Hunter Hearst Helmsley made Ray Phoenix lose his WrestleMania debut match to a fake luchador after buying AAA, Hunter deserves to go to hell. There is no other place for him to go in the afterlife. But that's all dependent on if Chad Gable is El Grande Americano, which is yet to be proven.
No, I haven't seen it. I mean, they have they have a very similar style. I can see kind of the comparison, but that's not Chad Gable. Stop it.
Yeah, I mean, the closest evidence we have is that they have matching tattoos. But, I mean, how many people in the world have matching tattoos, right? Like, they can't all be the same person. The spot of the night was obviously the reverse 450 coming off. Great. Insane. I never in a billion years would I have been able to take that bump. But for me, just as far as a pure graps perspective, that was very easily the best wrestling match of the night. It's not the best story of the night, but it was easily the best match of that night.
I just enjoy the fast style lucha, and I love that if you can get other people that you don't think of as that kind of worker, you'd be like, oh man, you've been doing this for a while. And it's just, for me, it's fun to watch. Like that kind of stuff. You can showcase a wrestler that has been through kind of like the gauntlet of, performing in the gym with, 25 people, to, doing this in WrestleMania. So for me, star wise, I'd give it like a 4.2. I thought it was actually, that's a little too high. I'll say 3.7. 3.7, just because I do think Ray Phoenix probably should have gone over. It's your debut. All the fun things were happening beforehand. Penta's there, so Penta's watching you too. You're just about AAA. This is the whole lucha thing. I mean, I would have liked Ray Phoenix to go over there, but at the end of the day, the storyline is going to be fun in itself, and the way that he won, just like I said, it's fun. I enjoy that.
Yeah, and for El Grande Americano, even though he is very much a luchador, he kind of has more of a Greco-Roman style to him.
Almost.
And I think those kind of wrestlers are almost predestined to have banger matches with luchadors. Think about back in the day with Kurt Angle and Eddie Guerrero burning the house down every single night.
Yep. I was just about to say that too, dude. That's what it reminded me of. Just how Kurt Angle could go with anybody and didn't matter. And I really think that not him, but El Grande Americano could definitely do that too. So 3.7 for me. What do you think about that?
I'll give it a 4.1. It's pretty solid.
Got it.
Again, kind of like you said, I wish that Ray Phoenix would have came out on top somehow, but all things considered, pretty good match.
It is what it is. But now we have Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair in the I'm not going into business with you at all match. My favorite I guess line of the night was Pat McAfee whenever Tiffany Stratton was coming out, and they had the 3 Barbie things, and she pops out and he goes, oh, she's the middle one. And I lost it. I was like, oh my God, that was so funny. So shout out to Pat McAfee on that one-liner. But this match as a whole, I mean, I'm going to let you start this one. What do you think?
It was fine. I've seen better Charlotte matches, and I've definitely seen better Tiffany matches, but I will say that I'm happy that justice prevailed in the outcome. You don't you don't get to railroad a rookie during a
Right.
segment and get away with it and win the championship after that. And Charlotte knows better. I think if she could go back, she would absolutely go back and do things differently. But the fact that we got the right outcome, because listen, this could have easily been a number 16 or 17 for Charlotte, and we would have had two storylines similar to that coming out of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But the fact that Tiffy was able to capitalize on her Money in the Bank win, to have a now like 110-day reign with the title and continue this reign, I think is super special for her in her rookie year.
Yeah, and to beat Charlotte Flair your rookie year at WrestleMania is a pretty nice little feather in the cap. I have a lot of critiques for this match because one, they had very similar outfits, and I don't understand. Like they look like a tag team. Like I don't understand how you can be like, "Hey, what are you wearing at Mania? Well, what are you wearing at Mania?" And like they could have at least tried to coordinate a little bit better with that because they just look very similar for one. And I'm just that's what it looked like. Even my in-laws were like, they're kind of wearing the same thing. So that was my only critique. But also, it didn't seem that they were really into it. It just seemed that they were going out there and just giving a match. It was kind of lackluster. Charlotte didn't really want to sell. Tiffany didn't really want to sell. And it was just one of those like, just they started beating each other a little bit, and you're like, oh, come on, guys, like just let's get this thing going. Let's do some cool stuff because, like you said, we've seen better matches from Charlotte Flair, and we've seen better matches from Tiffy. So this should have worked, and it didn't.
I really can't speak to the fact of if you do, and maybe we're all getting worked, right? Maybe I'm a big old mark. If they do have real life heat, if they really genuinely don't like each other, I wouldn't. I don't even want to think about what I'd have to do if I had to work in close capacity where I have to save someone's life like that
Right.
with someone I don't care for, right? So that's a hurdle that I thankfully will never have to jump over. But even at that point, you don't like each other. It's WrestleMania, guys.
You
Put a little umph. You know what I mean?
It just that was my whole thing, and the crowd definitely it suffered because of it, and it was like, yay, Tiffy won, and then also like. She lost a 2. She didn't lose a 2. Did she lose? What happened? Like I don't get it. But yeah, man. And I was like, it just wasn't really that great for me. Honestly, it's a 2 for me. I think that's probably maybe even being a little generous.
Yeah, it's a 2 for me as well. But the added benefit for it being where it was placed in the card, it's the perfect lull match right before the main event.
That is true. And the main event, let's get right into it. Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman at CM Punk's side. And I thoroughly enjoyed Seth Rollins coming out and him changing with the flamethrower. That was great. I thought it was really
sick.
clever. Roman Reigns just coming out with his aura. That was fun to watch. And then CM Punk got a video tribute, which I thought was fantastic. And then Living Color was playing Cult of Personality, and then he comes out with Paul Heyman, and you're like, oh, this is awesome. He does the watch, and Paul Heyman comes in, and he was like, oh, thank you. And then they all yell his clobbering time, and I mean, I'm having a blast just from that entrance, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, and no disrespect to Living Color, obviously they've been on the scene for like 40 years, just killing it. And I didn't know that I was put on to them from Guitar Hero 3. And that was like 2006, 2007. I was unaware of who they were. And then, of course, they end up being CM Punk's walkout music. Yep. As much as I like them, I may be in the minority here. I think that This Fire Burns by Killswitch Engage is an infinitely better walkout song specifically for CM Punk than that song is. And I just wish we could get it back. I know that we never will, but it's just something that I wish for all the time.
Yeah, I mean, maybe at some point, maybe in his final match or something, or towards the end there. But for the most part, we're gonna get Cult of Personality because they want those checks every single time. That's how he can afford his suit. But just from the beginning, and with Roman Reigns taking off the Ulafala, looking at Paul Heyman and not being able to give it to him, that was an interesting little storytelling there. I just enjoyed the small things here in this match. I thought it was just really, really good storytelling. I thought it was great to see kind of how they all work together too. Wasn't a perfect match by any means, but it was great to watch. And during this match, my in-laws were like, they're not even hitting each other. I'm like, stop looking at it. So it was,
You're
but
going
it
to ruin
was,
it for yourself.
yeah. I'm like, no, Roman Reigns totally caught him clean. But regardless, I thought it was great storytelling, and it was a 32-minute match. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I would like to give all of the flowers to Seth Rollins for his entire work history within the WWE. Coming into this WrestleMania, my Mount Rushmore of wrestlers were Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle, Finn Balor, and Bret Hart. And honestly, after this weekend, I think Seth may have knocked off Bret Hart. He has been that good and that consistent.
Yep.
We'll get to it in a second, but to be a part of so many big moments in WrestleMania history,
Yep.
on top of the fact that you have incredible in-ring work, incredible on the mic, it's so good. And not to mention, there was a brief period where I stopped watching the WWE because of a match that he was in. So to overcome all of that and be on my Mount Rushmore, shout out to Seth Rollins.
Yeah, Seth Rollins is also my wife's favorite wrestler. We're not going to go into that, but sometimes I have to dye my hair. So
You're just going to have the blonde patch like old Shield days.
Yeah, old Shield days. She was like, "This one sucks," but old Shield days. I'm like, "Okay, calm down." So, but I thought it was a great match. I thought it was fun to watch. I mean, Roman looked powerful and strong. CM Punk looked witty and wise, and Seth Rollins just took some crazy bumps. So, all in all, it was great. And then obviously, let's talk about what really happened, what we really want to get to. So, CM Punk and Roman Reigns are both down. Paul Heyman has a chair. He comes to the ring with the chair in his hands. He looks at Roman. He looks at Punk. He looks at the chair. Who's he going to give the chair to? He slides in the chair to CM Punk. And then he gets in the ring. And you're like, oh, what's happening? And CM Punk is winding up. And as he's winding up, chair's over his head. Paul Heyman, low blow. He goes down. Everyone's freaking out because we're like, oh my God, Paul Heyman just sided with Roman Reigns. Like, was that what was going through your head too?
It really just in my head. For as much as I love my girlfriend, she is not a wrestling fan and is like absolutely not in the bedroom. She's getting ready for bed. It's like almost 11 at that point. So I'm just in the living room watching it on my phone. I see it happen and my eyes just get as big as bowling balls. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe that this just happened. And then it even gets better after that, right? Turns on CM Punk, hands the chair to Roman Reigns. On his knees, presents it to him like the Ulafala, just wails. Roman Reigns wails on CM Punk. It just takes all of his frustrations out. And then we're reaching the crescendo at this point. Seth Rollins is in the position to take the chair shot, just like Roman did all those years ago.
Oh, the storytelling was great. It was so good. This is why we watch wrestling, for small things like that.
A 10-year payoff. Absolutely.
Yes. Dude, and then all of a sudden Paul Heyman from behind just low blow, but then he kind of like really gets in there, and it's like, Paul, what are you doing in there? I think he can shake for himself. But that was a great moment, and you're like, oh my God. Then Seth stands up, and you're going, there's always a plan B.
I love Paul Heyman. If WWE ever gets into a position where they can compete for, it wouldn't be Oscars, it would be live television, it would be the Golden Globes or whatever the case is. But if there's ever a position where Paul Heyman could be nominated for Best Supporting Actor, he needs to get it. There was such subtle differences between the camera work and facial expressions. He low-blowed CM Punk, and he did not enjoy it because it was something he had to do. But when he low-blowed Roman Reigns, he enjoyed it because it was something he wanted to do. And those little micro inflections in your voice, in your cheek muscles, in your eyebrows, incredible stuff from Paul Heyman. And then to see this new partnership with Seth Rollins, who was already undeniably one of the greatest superstars ever, to add a heater like Paul Heyman to him, I cannot wait for tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm so excited for that. I hope he gets in there. Now, I wonder if he's going to go straight up against Cena, or what that's going to look like. But we'll find out tonight. And the Raw after WrestleMania, you never know what's going to happen, dude. So moving on to night two, I guess for that Seth Rollins, I would give it a 4.5, 4.8. What do you think?
The match itself is probably like a 3.8, but I think with all the pomp and
That's fair.
circumstance with it, it's a 5. I think that's like, because in my opinion, these kind of things you remember where you were, who you were with, what you were doing. I
Yeah,
remember the heist of the century. I
that
remember
was
hearing
great.
I remember hearing that music and making it a triple threat. I will always remember where I was when Paul Heyman turned on his tribal chief.
Yeah. Well, also, real quick, going back to that WrestleMania when he cashed in, that was also the same WrestleMania where he took the best RKO of all time. And so
What a
you're
run
like,
for him.
so that was insane. And you're like he just, I mean, he lost, but that was fine because he came out in the heist of the century, and that was great. So seeing where this ends up, or if they're going to pair them with another faction or whatever, who knows what we'll see. But I'll give it a 5. I'll jump up there with you for it. So us Marky Marks over here are going to keep marking out for a little bit. So night two. Now this is where it got real fun because we had Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley, and this was the best match of both nights, hands down. It was so much fun. It was just NXT to its max. Like you just felt like you were back in the performance center just watching this match, and it was so much fun. And I loved this match. And Io Sky, dude, she can go. Rhea Ripley is cementing herself as one of the best, and Bianca Belair, dude, she is just so strong and so agile. And she can use her hair anytime she wants, so you get that whip sound. I love this match.
Yeah, that EST for Bianca Belair is not just a catchphrase. Like, she is legitimately good at everything. But rightly so, shout out to Io Sky. This whole storyline for this match was Rhea versus Bianca kind of just disregarding Io because we're acting like she isn't one of the best wrestlers on the planet. And she insert herself into these moments and proved within in 15 minutes, by the way, this is a very, like,
Yeah.
comparatively, a very short match. To have all thriller, no filler, foot on the gas kind of mentality for 15 minutes and to
Yep.
look that good,
Yep.
so good. I cannot give enough flowers to Io Sky.
And you're watching, you compare this to night one with the two matches from the women's match, and you're like, damn, what, like, man, we really got something special here. Because they did not slow down. It was a high flying, fast match. The way that it ended with Rhea Ripley, well, what's it called, pinned Bianca Belair, and then Io comes from the sky, so Bianca has to take that bump with her legs, and I mean that was just absolutely an insane moment, and it really kicked off the night compared to the first night. I mean, this ignited it. I mean, the crowd was hot after this one.
Yeah, and it stayed through the entire rest of the evening too. That's how you start a WrestleMania match. And again, all respect to Gunther and Jade. Like, they had a story to tell and they told it. Just pick it up a little bit. If you want to get a crowd hot, you need to put El Grande Americano and Ray Phoenix to start the night off. Not that.
Yeah, and then what I love, what great about this match is whoever built this card built it perfectly, because you have a really high intense triple threat match, and I'm not a huge fan of triple threat matches, for the record. I think they can get a little chaotic and they get a little lost sometimes, but this one was so well done, and you put this match in front of just a no DQ street match, dude, the crowd is going to be hype regardless, because they're going to get tables and stuff from the next one. So now they're just in this psychosis of like, more wrestling. And so whoever did this card the second night did a fantastic job.
Yeah, to start off with, and I'm going to break the Meltzer scale here, to start with a 5.5 star match to kick off night 2 of WrestleMania.
Well,
So good.
hold on. I wouldn't say 5.5. It's not New Japan. It was in the Tokyo Dome.
It was not in the Tokyo Dome. You're right.
So let's calm down, Austin.
But to your credit, going from that match to a different brand of wrestling, listen, WWE is never going to be CZW. It's never going to be like this death match style thing. But for as PG of a hardcore match as you can get, Drew McIntyre, excuse my language, is the fucking best in the world. He is so good at this. The match he had with Damian Priest and the matches that he had with CM Punk are so incredibly good. If this isn't the main event push for him that he was supposed to get last year, if he's not wrecking people from here on out, the least Hunter could do is bring back the hardcore title and give it to him.
Yeah, do something, because, I mean, watching. So just I know we kind of skimmed over the first match, but we'll get back to that here in a second. But this match for me was so much fun because watching Damian Priest come out and bat wings and have his happy little moment with Slayer. That was really cool to come out with his guitar, but also Drew taking a selfie in the middle of the match. I mean, that was great, and to have his brother ready to post it and stuff. I mean, just all this fun stuff, and that's what you want to see in a street match. Like you want to see the fun, like the wood popping whenever you go through a table. You want to hear the high spot. You want to see all these cool things, and they gave it to us. And I thought it was just a really fun match. And Drew, the way that Drew finished it was sometimes with street matches, it gets a little chaotic and people are kicking out at 2 after they took 9 chair shots to the head, went through 4 tables and they're kicking out at 2. You're like, come on, like that's no one's kicking out at 2. And I thought the way that they finished this match was really great. That Damian Priest was pushed through a couple of tables, then he was pinned on the corner. They put the chair. He came, gave him a Claymore. I thought that was really well done. 1, 2, 3, game over. And I think Drew definitely deserves that main push here coming out hopefully after WrestleMania.
Yeah, and also another underappreciated spot I think is the swinging DDT on the stairs. I thought Damian Priest died. I watched that. I went, he's dead. You don't come back from that.
That's when you notice also Drew McIntyre's blood, and you're like, wait, was that there? Like, oh god.
Yeah.
So no, that was a really tough spot, dude. That thing's hard as hell. So I thought it was a great match. I would give this one probably like a 4-2. I enjoyed it that much.
I'll give it a flat 4 just because it wasn't. I think hardcore matches and like the Hell in a Cell match that CM Punk and Drew McIntyre had, I think they're kind of like built to be methodical. They're supposed to go longer. This wasn't super long for me, so I'm just gonna give it a flat 4. But it was definitely very, very good.
Yeah, and that that just hyped up the crowd, and so they're ready for the night now, and they're just having a great time. And next you have a 4-way match between Braun Breaker, who's coming in as IC champion, Finn Balor, Penta, and Dominic Mysterio. And yeah, well, first of all, Penta's get up and his Power Rangers themed gear, phenomenal.
So cool.
I honestly thought George Kittle was going to get involved. I was like convinced in my head. I'm like, dude, they're friends. He's going to jump the thing. They're going to do a chug together, and then he's going to super kick someone. I know what's going to happen. And it didn't happen. I hope it would have been really cool if it did. But this match was a lot of fun. A lot of great storytelling, too. Dominic Mysterio and Finn Balor, that was great. Like, we got to give Dom his props. He did phenomenal in this match. He did so well, and you can see the, kind of everyone seeing the work that he's put in, and now it's paying off.
This match displays what WWE has at their arsenal. They have 4 superstars, and you can say what you want about Finn Balor. If you could forget about the fact for the last 2 years he hasn't won a singles match, if you could forget that for a second, superstar, presentation, physique, in-ring work, incredible.
First Universal Champion.
Yeah, these 4 guys here are the kinds of talents that you build an entire company around. And the fact that we just got it as an Intercontinental match, we are so lucky as WWE fans. But in my opinion, Braun, even though Dominic won the match, Braun continues to prove that he's the superstar. If he's not the World Heavyweight Champ this time next year, I think we just need to riot. Yeah,
well, he's going to probably win the Rumble in Saudi next year. That'd be my guess. But man, it's so much fun to watch, and I mean to think like a Steiner is last name Breaker. I don't know why they did that shit. That's been my biggest pet peeve. Is like, we know he's a Steiner, just use his last name. It's not a big deal. But it's really cool to see, and maybe one day whenever he becomes champion, maybe he's like, I'm Steiner. But also, you're not your uncle. It's okay. We don't need you to do any more Steiner math. That was and Austin, correct me if I'm wrong, but Steiner math was ours. Like, that was the Indies' greatest promo. That was us. We don't need it to be anymore. It's one of those where you have a friend who hasn't watched wrestling in a long time. You're like, have you seen this promo? And they're like, no. And you show them, and they're like, what the hell just happened? And Steiner's math promo is like the best promo one of the best promos of all time. But you can't continue to beat it down. And when it becomes kind of like part of your routine now, because I think Steiner's done this like 3 or 4 times, and it's like, dude, we get it. that needs to live on the internet. We don't. I don't want to see it here. I want to see you.
Yeah, I was a TNA kid growing up. I'm a TNA adult now. I will always appreciate what that company did for my fandom for wrestling. Watching Scott Steiner do that, cutting that promo on Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe, so good, incredible.
And Petey
But
just
and then the math checks out at the end of it, incredible. But you're right, that was ours. That was a very internet niche thing. It was people in their 30 to mid 30s, like that was very much an R thing. And I understand the intellectual property side of it too, right? You are a Steiner. You are now under the WWE umbrella. Sean in NXT, Hunter in like the main roster, like they want to capitalize on it, and I get it. Now that he's done it at NXT, and now that he's done it on the biggest stage at WrestleMania, hopefully that's like the end of it.
hopefully.
Like the joke's not funny anymore. You'll see internet jokes, you'll see stuff on Twitter that's super funny. When the celebrity attaches themselves to it, not funny anymore.
Right.
We've reached that point where
I
it's
agree.
not funny anymore.
Yeah, so I'm glad you feel the same way. But Dominic Mysterio coming out with the win, and that pop that he got from the crowd, a guy who was booed by just putting the microphone to his lips, gets one of the biggest pops of the night, winning the IC champion. He got such a big pop, he ran back into the ring to celebrate again, and everyone was going absolutely insane. So that just makes me so happy for a guy like Dominic, who just kind of kept with it and didn't stop, and he's told the story, and he really leaned into his character and just being that like mama's boy, like little brat, and he just leaned into it and it worked. And now it's just funny and everyone loves it. And everyone is eating their chicken nuggies now, and it's fun to see Dominic, like, I don't know, kind of get that rub.
Yeah, he's incredible. I mean, he says it himself. He's a 20-year pro, right? He had that much experience being with his dad, Eddie Guerrero, and then his uncle Rey Mysterio. Like, he has a lot of built-in like commodity for this business, and for him to be able to display what he did at WrestleMania, like he's gone through 3 turns so far. He was this plucky underdog teaming with his dad, and then he was a mega heel. Now I think he's coming back to like a superstar white hot, like white meat baby face.
Yeah, I would love. I know the WWE signed Rusev. I think it'd be really fun to see him and Rusev go at it. I think it'd be fun to see kind of like the tricks that Dominic would pull to get wins over a guy like Rusev, because we know Rusev's fantastic and he's big and all that stuff. I think that would be such a fun match, and I would love to see that happen, or just Dominic go against someone that he's not supposed to beat. Even Braun Breaker, if he wants his title back, like run that one, and then let's see, who's going to be joining the Judgment Day, and is Finn Balor going to still be Finn Balor? Like I want him, just like you, to get that push, because he was Universal Champion. Like he deserves it. I cry at night looking at my stomach because I don't have the abs that Finn Balor has.
I just love bread too much. I can't give it up.
I can't either. I mean, like, good Lord, dude, calm down. My wife's in the room. So it was a fun match. It was a great match. I would give that match probably like a 4.5, honestly.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I was going to go a little bit under, but I'll go 4.5 as well.
Cool.
It would have been a 5-star if Ben Balor won, but
yeah. But the way that they did it too, with Finn Balor doing the coup de grace, and then Dominic doing the frog splash for the 1, 2, 3, I was just great. I love that ending. But then the entire night you're going, well, who's Randy Orton going to fight today? And everyone's thinking Rusev. Some people thought Brock Lesnar. Who do you have any guesses on who it was?
My guess, I would have, first of all, rather had Hell Freeze over than Brock Lesnar come back. But I did, if I had any money to gamble on this thing, I would have put a lot of money on Aleister Black. He came back to the company. It's been kind of swept under the rug, but I figured that was like as good of time as any to reintroduce him to the main roster.
Yeah, I was thinking Rusev. I was thinking this would be great. It'd be fun. Everyone would go nuts, kind of thing. But instead, we got I Believe in Joe Hendry. Dude, this was, for me, as just a TNA fan and a guy who fell in love with him on the internet, I was so excited. I was like, oh, and even my wife was like, oh, look at him, because she knows who he is. And so it was fun to see and also hear the crowd cheer and sing his song. Like, that's when you've gotten so over at WrestleMania. you're coming in and they're singing your stuff. I loved it.
It's cool when, and this is not a shot at people who just watch WWE or just watch AEW. If that's just your thing, fine.
Yeah.
When you are ingrained in wrestling culture, when you're checking out CMLL, when you're checking out CZW, when you're checking out TNA,
Yeah.
and you start to see those little bits seep into the mainstream, it's super rewarding as a fan to see that, because this time last year was kind of the genesis of
Yeah.
that song taking off like it did. So this time last year, people may not have known who Joe Hendry was. This year, every single person, all 62,000 people in that arena knew who he was, and it was super cool.
Yeah, it was really cool, and he got his stuff in. He got to do his pose, but just coming out of the field, this little Viper RKO'd him in 1, 2, 3, and that was it. So he kind of got buried in 3 minutes, but I would say for me, I don't mind that. I would like to see possibly another TNA star come in and hit Randy and cause a DQ, so you don't anyone look bad. But Randy Orton can hit 2 RKOs and then we call it a night. That would have been fine. But he pinned 1, 2, 3. So Randy Orton, your new TNA champion.
Listen, I think that Joe Hendry would definitely be back if it's under the TNA umbrella. Cool. I think it's important to have megastars like that on TV shows like TNA. But even if it's under the WWE umbrella, he will continue to have WrestleMania moments. I'm not worried about that.
No.
I think the biggest thing for me coming out of this match is that we are now, sort of a spoiler alert, because of the result of the main event of this evening, I think we're starting the storyline where Randy faces the winner of the main event one last time.
I can see that happening. That makes sense. But I did enjoy whenever he did the pose and did his Randy Orton thing. That was great. I cracked up. I was like, I appreciate him playing along is what I appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was one of those just filler matches. It is what it is. I'd give that, just like a 3, if that.
I don't even want to give it a grade, really, because it wasn't a squash match per se, but there wasn't really anything to like grasp onto, to like sink your teeth into. Right. So maybe just a NR, like a not ranked. I don't know.
Yeah. No, we'll put an I. We like to use eyes on this podcast. So moving on, dude, this one, Logan Paul versus AJ Styles. I was very disappointed in this match. And I don't know, and I don't want to say it out loud, but I don't know if Logan Paul is just not seasoned enough yet, or AJ Styles is losing a step. And it scares me for both.
I have a sour taste in my mouth from this match because it was the only one on the entire card this weekend that I got incorrect. So I was already angry about it. But there's a lot going on between these two. I think with Logan, it's art versus artist. I don't care for him as a person. I don't think he's a particularly good guy, but I will not deny that he looks good in the ring. He's very comfortable with the mic in his hands. He's very comfortable around the camera. His physique is incredible. His moveset's good. There are things to like about him, but he needs to be guided gently by someone like AJ Styles. And if you believe the rumors on the internet, he may be on the way out. And I think that we should appreciate AJ Styles for what we have, because he went on Chris Van Fleet's show a couple months ago. Don't know if you watch him or not. Yep. Shout out to Chris Van Fleet. But he went on his podcast and said, yeah, when I'm 50, I'm hanging it up. Like, that's it. And that means at best we have 3 years left of AJ Styles. So if that means that he wants to go see greener pastures, if he wants to rekindle in TNA, if he wants to see what AEW has in store for him, I think that would be cool. But yeah, I definitely got the vibe that he was kind of just going through the motions and punching in and out.
Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like. Also, I'm not a huge fan of no-selling finishers. And whenever AJ Styles got hit with a Styles Clash and just popped up and gave Logan Paul a Styles, I was like, come on, man. Like, come on. Like, sold like your finishing move. Like, at least give it a second. Like, that was my one of my critiques for this match. I would give it a 2.5, honestly.
Yeah, I'll give it about the same. I want better for AJ Styles. I also want better for Karrion Kross, who was a part of this match. He tried to get AJ Styles to turn to the dark side, and AJ spurned him. And then I don't know if you saw the.
Sure
I
did.
don't know. I don't know what it's called. It's with Sam Roberts and Thea Hale, I guess,
Yeah,
was
there
also with him.
some kind of interview backstage. Dude, that was probably one of the best things I've seen in a long time. And I'm so glad, again, as a TNA fan, to see him just unleash like that. And you're like, this is what we've been waiting for. We need you to go back to Killer Cross like you were at TNA. We need you to go back. Oh, wait, what was his name at TNA? Was it Killer Cross?
Yeah, it was Killer Cross.
Yeah, okay, cool. So make sure. I just wanted to make sure Vince didn't change his name. So it was just one of those things. I'm like, yes, thank God. So hopefully that clip went viral enough, and hopefully we start to see it pay off, and maybe him and Styles do a backlash match together, and he gets that rub. So we'll see. But I think we need more Scarlett Bordeaux. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Just a little tidbit in here. More of that, please.
More of that, please. Yeah, she is very kind on the eyes. We'll leave it at that. So yeah, like just a 2-5. I was really disappointed, to be honest with you. But all the aftermath makes it a little bit better. So next we have Lyra Valkyrie coming out with, we don't know, but they're going against the tag team champions of Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, the Red Leather Twins. Good Lord. Liv Morgan, she's fantastic. She is one of my favorites she's gorgeous. Anyway, this match was fun because we didn't know who was going to be. And then the music hits and Becky Lynch comes out. How'd you feel about Becky Lynch?
I think the return is cool. I'm never going to scoff at a return, especially because she's been away from the company for so long.
Yeah.
She wrote a book. She's been trying to do TV stuff. Like, she's definitely earned this break. I'm never going to scoff at her returning, but I will say that I don't think it does anyone any favors if you are hot potatoing your belts between teams who are not tagged. Like, if you're just throwing people together.
Right.
If this was Lyra and Bailey and they won, I still would have had a problem with it. But Liv and Raquel just won these titles. And maybe originally they were this thrown together tag team. But now that they're part of the Judgment Day and they've won those titles 3 separate times, it would make sense that continuity would have been able to get them the win. And I just, as much as I love Lyra, as much as I love Becky Lynch, I just don't see the point in them having the belts if they're not a tag team.
Right.
That's what tag team belts are for.
Yeah, they need to have a long reign with those things because it does play hot potato. And Lyra and Becky are going to be champions for what, a week? Like, I mean, they're not even going to stay together. And who knows if Becky's even going to stay, because we saw Alexa Bliss come back and then she disappeared. So I was kind of hoping Alexa Bliss would come out in some capacity. I heard that there's going to be a Chelsea Green open challenge, and I would have loved to see that happen. But we didn't get the women's U.S. champion, which is, I think, crazy. And I think it's also crazy that Lyra didn't defend her IC title. So, we got this, it was a good moment. It was great to see Becky again. She looks fantastic. But just like you need to have some kind of better payoff. And just to kind of throw Becky in, and they're like, oh, well, the last person to beat her was Liv. It's like, well, build that. Don't just throw it at us. So, I thought it was fine. I'll give it like a 3.
I'll go. Yeah, I'll go a little lower at a 2.5 just because I'm frustrated with the state of the women's tag team division. And again, not to disparage the workers, right? Not to disparage the town. They're just doing what they're told. But Hunter, we got to figure this out, dog. Especially if you're going to run that Evolution 2 show somewhere during the summer. If you're going to do that, you need to figure out your women's division. And this was not a good omen for that.
I mean, you have NXT who claim themselves to be the best tag team or best women's division in all of wrestling. That better pay off. Like, that has to pay off. But we'll see what happens with what Liv and Raquel do after this. How long we see Lyra and Becky. I think they lose in, I would say, less than a month, to be honest with you. But we'll see. But finally, we have the main event. What we've all been waiting for, the build. It took a year to get here. We got Cody Rhodes, who had a busted eardrum, and Travis Scott, and blah, 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 blah. And when John Cena comes out, he comes out to black and white. I thought that was great, by the way. And just having everything up, basically just going back to his, that one time he worked heel at ECW, One Night Stand with Rob Van Dam, which is one of my favorite matches of all time. But for that one, like that's how he came out with the title coming through. So that kind of brought me back to that moment, which was really cool. That was peak John Cena. And then Cody Rhodes, for whatever reason, had guys in motorbikes. I mean, I didn't.
Are we not BMX fans here, or is that what you're telling me, AJ?
I just had I didn't know what was going on. So cool. But then he had that really cool mask that opened up, and
Yeah,
that
the mask
really
was
fun.
sick.
Yeah, someone on Twitter said what my trash can looks like when I walk up to it, and then I couldn't stop laughing. That was a good one. But this match itself, Austin, what'd you think of it?
There was a small section of the internet wrestling community, and maybe they were doing it tongue in cheek. Maybe I'm the fool who was not able to pick up on it, but they were expecting like a 5-star banger. And while I think Cody has that ability, it's not because of the move set. The last and I maybe the last 5-star match he had was where he tore his pec, Hell in a
Yeah,
Cell, whatever year that was against Seth Rollins. That was an external factor of why that was good because he persevered. Right,
right.
his whole chest was blue. The last 5-star match he had before that was in AEW against his brother Dustin, and that had external factors too.
Yeah,
It's not because of the in-ring work that he gets the 5-star matches. It's not a Meltzer, Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay kind of match. And for whatever reason, there was a subsect of the internet wrestling community that was like, "Oh, this is going to be the best match of the night." The last 20 years of John Cena has told me that is not going to be the case. I'm not sure why I've expected it now.
I did appreciate him kind of changing it up and going slower and doing some things like more heelish for sure. But for all in all, I kind of was in the middle of what you were saying. I think I was like, this is going to be a good match because they're both great and they're both really good at what they do. But what's it going to look like? Like that was kind of my thing, is like, are they going to try to go all out? Are they going to do crazy stuff? And, they did some fun stuff. It was fine. But what really just kind of stopped the entire match dead in its tracks was Travis Scott to his stupid song that I absolutely hate now. And dude, if I'm the WWE, like you beat Fiend to the ground. I can never listen to Fiend ever again. And the fact that he came out to Fiend made me even more upset. The fact that he came out with a hardcore championship that I don't remember him winning. Dude, I was so mad when he came out. And then you put him next to two guys like John Cena and Cody Rhodes, and you're like, you're a twig. You're 110 pounds soaking wet, man. Like, I don't know why you're here.
The biggest thing that frustrated me, a smaller nitpick first, he has better songs than Fiend to come out to.
100%.
Like that, there are better wrestling songs. Like when Bad Bunny came out to Champea, that was a good wrestling song. He hit the nail on the head on that one.
Yeah.
Travis Scott has better work than that, so he could have worked there. The biggest part that bothered me about this match was when you were watching, whether you are seasoned fans like us or just a casual viewer, you either have to understand that there are some liberties that you can take with the storytelling, or you have to take everything as a shoot. I like to view things as a shoot. I like to view things that they are presented to me.
Sure.
John Cena should have been DQ'd because the referee has eyes.
He was staring right at him. And I told my wife that, I'm like, well, the ref's up. And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, I don't understand what's happening right now.
And then when Travis Scott pulls the ref out, shout out to Michael Cole, who just celebrated his 28th WrestleMania. Incredible. Shout out to Michael Cole.
Yeah, shout out to Michael Cole.
He saved that one spot because when he pulled him out, his like on the fly reaction was, well, I guess the referee hit his head on the way down. Otherwise, he would have called the DQ right there. And I'm like, yeah, I guess.
I was really hoping for more, and the fact that The Rock didn't come back is even more just nonsense. And I don't know if there was a scheduling conflict, but I don't know how you not know WrestleMania. We haven't seen him since Elimination Chamber, which bothers me too. He said that he was going to come back, and he's not here. So he better come out tonight, or he better come out Friday and better explain himself on what's going on. Because for me as a fan, if The Rock came out and Travis Scott was there with the stupid belt, okay, I can believe that, whatever. But the fact that Travis Scott just came out just to take a crossroads, I mean, you wasted my time. Like, you wasted my time. you should have just had Pharaoh bite him on the ass or something. Like I don't care about you. So that was my biggest thing. And then just the AA to win it was just, I don't know, it just kind of fell flat. We all knew it was going to happen. John Cena not celebrating his 17th win is a little depressing, honestly, because I was expecting him to be more like animated at least for just a second, and he just won it and was like, "Thank you."
His facial expression at the end of Elimination Chamber when he decided to turn on Cody, that very like stern look,
Yeah,
was more animation than I saw him all night.
yeah,
And I was a little disappointed, but again, like you said, because of 17. A little side note: I don't think that record will ever be broken. I think that the
no,
WWE has done a very good job at sort of erasing Ric Flair now, and now that John Cena is like the company guy, toes the line, right? I think that that'll never be broken. But for it to be, for him to win 17 under all of these circumstances, Travis being there at all, The Rock not coming out, despite the fact that he is like the literal catalyst to this entire storyline. He is a
right,
key figure in the story. And on top of the fact that you just made your year plus long champion look like a fucking dork on
yep,
the way out. He could lose, right? He can lose in a dusty finish. He could lose straight. I would have been fine with
right,
all of it. The bit toward the end where, and again, it was a callback to something earlier where John Cena said, you're going to have to make a decision at some point. You're going to have to pick good or evil. And Cody, for whatever reason in that moment, after John Cena had thumped him in the eye, after he has kicked him in the dick, after he has turned on him, decided that he was going to be, yeah, I'm going to take the high road. I'm not going to do this. You look like a dork, Cody.
yeah,
And you were champion for 380 days, just
yeah,
about. You shouldn't look that bad on the way out. And maybe he takes some time off. Maybe we finally get that Cody Lander when he comes back, and that'll be cool. That'll be a nice wrinkle into the story. But we can only go day by day. And the day after WrestleMania, he looks like a dork.
yeah. No, I mean he's only there to do the woe. I'm just convinced that's only he's there for. But
He's just a Fortnite emote now, and
that's all he is.
that's insane.
So like overall, I would just give it like I would give it a 3, to be honest with you, just because you had some good names, but you know they tried to tell a story, but that Travis Scott run out was just oh, I mean
It was so hard to watch, just the whole thing.
It was so hard. It was so hard to watch. So
I'll give you.
and The Rock didn't come out, and you know there was rumors about Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins, and The Rock and John Cena faction coming through. So it's like, you know, we got to do something. Like, and then it just ended. You're like, oh, okay, I guess we're done.
Yeah, it was just done after that. You know, we're all seasoned wrestling fans here. We know that when you see that logo pop up, it's not the end. I waited for it. The camera cut off. I'm like, okay, it's coming. They're going to cut back to that live feed. I'm going to be in on the act. I'm right here. And then I thought, okay, that didn't happen. Maybe it's like a Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes thing where it's going to be a post show altercation that goes around on social media. So I'm waiting. I'm reloading Twitter every 30 seconds. I'm like, all right, it's here. It's here. Never get it.
Never happened.
And then all of a sudden you see John Cena essentially breaking kayfabe, going on the Pat McAfee show today prior to the Raw after Mania, be like, oh yeah, that was a really cool thing. I had this weird connection with the crowd, but I did it. I'm a 17-time champ. I'm like,
did you see his interview after the matches? He was
yeah,
like,
the post drums, yeah,
clickbait. It's like, all right, man. And then to see him on Pat McAfee, you're like, all right, come on, man. Like, all right, we'll
keep
see what
something
happens.
alive. Yeah, just a smidgen.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Like if you went on Pat McAfee and said the same thing over and over again, dude, that would have been fantastic. It's like clickbait question, like next question or whatever he said. So you know, overall WrestleMania, if I were to give it an overall star, I'm not going to sit here and give everyone math because that's too much for me right now. There's way too many matches on these cards. But overall, I think I'd probably give it just, you know, a 3, you know, like a C, somewhere around there. You know, just it's one of those things. And I was telling James this, shout out to James, who couldn't be here today, but I was telling him WrestleMania is one of those things where you go into class and you don't study for the test, but you end up with an 82 and you're like, all right, I'll take it. Like that's how it felt to me. That same kind of feeling. Like I didn't study. I wish I did, but I'm not mad about an 82.
Yeah, it kind of the same vibe for me. There are some matches on here that I really enjoyed, and I will definitely be watching again. So I think I'll go just slightly higher than you with a C plus because that triple threat with Io and Bianca and Rhea, so good. The 4-way for the Intercontinental title, so good. So this match had, or this pay-per-view has some bangers on it. It's just unfortunate that it ended on a dud.
And speaking of bangers, we have Stone Cold Steve Austin come out in an ATV. I forgot to mention that part. My bad. And first of all, he missed the ramp. That's why he missed his cue. And then he gets there. He's doing all these circles around the ring and runs into the siding, scaring the hell out of this poor girl who's in the front. So much so, Nick Khan had to come out and console her. Like, that's how bad it was. And then he's chugging beers, and you're like, you're going to get on the ATV after you just chugged like 6 beers in front of everybody? Like, dude, I know not a lot get in your mouth, but that's a bad look. And he didn't. He's walked away.
Yeah. Also, just a side complaint, last year where we had the Avengers storyline where Cody finishes the story, right? We have a hits row worth of talent. We had The Rock, we had The Undertaker, we had John Cena, we had the whole thing. Stone Cold Steve Austin said that didn't fulfill him creatively, so he turned down the opportunity to take Undertaker's spot to face off against The Rock. Why did you turn that down, but decided to come out on a four-wheeler and announce that there were 64,000 people there? What is your standard, Steve?
Oh, it was because I was out there and I had a good time, and they paid me a lot of money to do it, and I got into the Hall of Fame again, and that was fun because Bret Hart was like, oh, to Triple H, and that was cool. I put my middle finger up, and they took away the camera, man. It was great. Stone Cold rocks. So anyway, that's my terrible Stone Cold impression. Sorry about that. But yeah, so overall it's fun, but we'll see kind of where these all go. Once again, WrestleMania was crazy in itself, and the people came and brought some good stuff, and we saw a lot of duds. So, overall, like I said, CC Plus is probably a good average pay-per-view. I would recommend going to see those matches that we talked about and gave higher reviews. But Austin, I think we covered the WrestleMania. We took enough of these people's time. Is there anything else you want to add?
Nothing on my end, although I would like to put some stuff through a table.
Oh,
if we may.
Yes, since we're not going to dunk on anybody, we're going to put some people through the table. Austin, take it away. Who put them through a table?
Not so much a person, but an ideology, if you will. This weekend, WrestleMania weekend, for a very long time, is super special, not because of the showcase of the Immortals, but the things that are surrounding it. All of the Super Indies, Ring of Honor, PWG, CZW, like everyone comes to where WrestleMania is, puts on indie shows, put on live events, and it's a culmination of wrestling fandoms. For whatever reason, this year, there have been a bunch of dorks online that are very tribalistic, and I want to dunk on the tribalism.
Ooh, nice.
You can be a fan of just WWE. You can be a fan of just AEW, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for a big portion, and maybe it's just the internet wrestling community, which is objectively one of the worst places to ever be on the internet. For all those people to go, AEW could never pull this off. It's WrestleMania. Like, can we focus on the wrestling, the WWE wrestling? We don't have to take pot shots at AEW, who is doing fine, by the way. They had 100,000 not too long ago. They're going to probably sell out at All In. That's like 70,000. Like, they're doing fine.
And I might be going to that one because
hell
that seems like a good time. So that's just up the road. So yeah, no, dude, that wrestling community can be very toxic, but they also can be very rewarding at the same time. So you got to kind of toe that line if you're a professional wrestler, which is why I retired. But that's another story for another time. I'm going to put Las Vegas through a table. And the reason why is because Las Vegas, for whatever reason, they just did not do a good enough job with the crowd exiting and entering. I saw a lot of videos online of just the long waits, people trying to run up the escalator going the other way and just eating the entire time. Like that's hard to watch. And so for whatever reason, Vegas just didn't do a good job of basically hurting people. And I think they need to really look into that in future WrestleManias because it's starting to become a problem everywhere they go. Whenever I went to WrestleMania in 2016, that's how it was. It was very hurty. I have a picture of it. You can go look at it. So I'm going to dunk on Las Vegas for just not doing a better job of moving people from the main arena to back to the strip or wherever they need to go. And that's what all I got to say, man.
Yeah, and if you guys don't shape up Las Vegas, you're not going to get an NBA team. I heard it from Adam Silver himself. Don't shoot the messenger.
Nope. But it'd be fun if they ever did. So give me an excuse to go back to Las Vegas because I love Las Vegas when it's not super crowded. So go like in September on a Tuesday. Anyway, but everyone, thank you so much for your time. Make sure you all go follow our buddy Austin at Roundball Renaissance. He's on all the fun social media platforms. He's a great Twitter follow. He's a great Instagram follow. Follow him on TikTok as well. Austin, is there anything else you want to plug for us?
Nope, you nailed it right on the head. Appreciate the opportunity to branch outside of basketball. Obviously, we can't live in the basketball echo chamber, so it's fun to come on here and talk some graps with a wrestling fan.
Absolutely. Well, we're still going to talk basketball because that's how we're going to end this episode because that's the only way I know how to do it. So on 3, Austin, we're going to go. Oh,
go.
No, sorry. I've been drinking wine. I didn't say 3. 1, 2, 3.
Go.
Spurs.
Go.